Magazine spreads are great ways in which to communicate a trend to a given audience and hopefully inspire them in how to wear certain clothes. So this is an example of a magazine spread from early 2014, and it's showing the trend, which was bold colours and flowers and floral patterns, which were quite big in spring/summer 2014. Anyway, this magazine shows a whole load of images. So this is the look you're going for, a bit of text to inspire you, and most importantly, where to go to buy the items. You can tell that these items are very affordable. We're not looking at couture, we're not looking at really high-end stuff. These are the kind of clothes where anyone could walk into a high street, buy a full outfit, and look great for that year. So we're going to go and produce something very similar, which at the end of it will look very similar to this. May not be exactly the same, but we're going to go and try and use this as inspiration. What we're going to do for this is use a program called InDesign. It's part of the Adobe suite, and it's very similar to Photoshop in many ways. Many of the logics used in Photoshop are very similar, but there are a few differences. But anyway, let's go and create a sheet. So I'm going to start with creating a new document. So new document. Here we have a whole load of different options which we can do different things, but we're going to go for the most obvious one, which is print, and that's a default setting, and we can set how many pages. I'm going to go for 3 pages, and I'll show you why in a second, and I'll leave everything else as the default, as that's pretty cool. So OK, and what we see here on the side in the pages is the cover page, and then we click here, we can see a spread. Now, we could do a whole video on using the spread and cover pages and bits, but for this video, we're only going to work in the spread section. So I'm just going to click here and minimize that away. To bring it back, all I've got to do is click on any of these bits here. So in this case, pages or layers. So I'm going to put that away. So this is our page, and this is the basic layout of the magazine. So I'm going to start to put something very important in, which is some pictures. We've already got some Photoshop ready, so that's going to make life nice and simple. So I go to File and Place, and navigate to where I have my file stored. In this case, it's going to be Lecture, Week 4, Images, Images for the left column, and there's 5 of them there. So we could place them individually, we could do lots of things, but there's a really quick and simple tool within InDesign which lets us place all these photos without having the hassle of wondering what to do. So just hold down Shift after you've selected the first one and click on the last. They've all been selected. Click Open, and you'll see there's like a little sort of palette knife, paintbrush image with a pointer in the corner. Now, I can just hold down, left click, okay, and I can drag it out. And what this would do, this would place one picture. I don't want to do that, I want to place all 5. So on my keyboard, I press the up arrow 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and you can see that what's happened is we've got a nice grid here. So no matter how big I go, how small I go, this is going to arrange the images perfectly. Now we've got 3 columns on each page, as you can see. These are guidelines, these aren't actual things you'll see. We'll have more of that later on. So I'm going to just stick to the inside. And you see your sides will just snap to these guidelines. We can go to the edge, we can go to the center or the other edge. So I'm going to go to about there, which is the very center of the area between the columns. Let go. And there we have it. We have just placed the 5 items and they are perfectly spaced. But as you can see, they are not actually perfectly filling all the boundaries. So I'm going to zoom in here. There's a great tool here, which is Zoom. So I can just click on that and I can actually, no, that's a bit too big, so I'm going to zoom out again. So I can do View, Fit Spread on Window. It's a great way to come back all the way out. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to draw a box around the image this time. So now you can see I've zoomed right in. So what you can see here is a box, which is made of blue, and that is a picture frame. So our image can fill this, but it can't go over the edge. At the moment, it's not filling because the image we're working with it was a bit too rectangular, but that's okay. So what we do, hold down Shift and click inside the picture. What you see what happens when you do that, so let's do it again. So bring our mouse over to its like a hand, hold down Shift and click. The option of what's selected has changed. Now we've got boxes around the picture. So hold down Shift to keep everything together. Put the arrow on the corner, you can see it change to a diagonal, and we can just drag the picture out. You'll see that when it goes outside the box, it goes grey, meaning that the image is not going to be seen above that. You bring it down and just snap to the top, about there, and let's do the bottom. So let's take it down to there. So we've now got the image, which is fitting perfectly. I'll do it again. You can see we've got a frame there, and it's looking good. Now I'm actually going to move her to be more on the right. I can just take my selection tool, hover over the center, and you'll see that it's changed to a hand. I can left click and just slide. If I slide too far, you can see that I'm creating a new blank area to the side. That's not too good, so I'm going to bring it so that I think I want more pink. So actually no, I don't. I want her a little bit more to the right, so that's going to be good for me. So there we have it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do the same for the next 4 pictures, and I'll catch you in a bit. So I've now finished with these pictures. They've all been resized, as you see, and I've zoomed right out so I can see the whole spread on one page. So that is a good start. Now I want to have a big central image right about here. And I've already got it photoshopped, so it's nice and easy. Once again, different ways I can do this, but I'm going to do it the easy way. So this little box here, if you actually hover over, you'll see its title should pop up. If I click down on the left, you'll see it's rectangle frame, ellipse frame, polygon frame. These lets you do placeholders for images. So I'm going to just do one here, and I want it from about the top there. And if you see, as I move it down, it's snapping on the bottom edge to the edges of the pictures on the left, or the top there, on the very bottom. I want it to be about, about there. I'm going to go for exactness. And I'm going to go to the inside edge there. So that's what I'm going for. And the top one, that's good. I'm going to select this and drag this down and pull it up again so it does snap exactly to this. That's going to fit exactly in with what we've got on there. So I clicked on here, so it's selected, and go File, Place, and select the image. In this case, the image I want is this one, so that's good. Okay, and it fits automatically. Now what you see what's happened again here is the frame has cut off and cropped the bits of the image which doesn't fit, and we've got a bit of blank space here. So I'm going to zoom in. So on zoom tool, that's cool, and click, shift, oops, yeah, sorry, there we are. So we have the same boxes as before. We can just drag this out, and that's fitting the box. I'm going to drag this down because I want to get the top of her head in, and that's looking great. But now we can see that the gap between these pictures on the left and the main picture aren't really that great. So I'm going to just go and change this. So hold one picture, hold down Shift, select second, scroll down, hold on Shift and click, hold down Shift and click, hold on Shift and click. So I've now got these pictures selected. I can just take this one here and bring that in, and you can see what it does is it doesn't warp the picture, it just changes the frame, which is very important. So we can make this really wide. Oops, we can move the whole thing if we want to, but we could just take that there, but we don't, we want it to be there. So great flexibility in here. So we can look at that. That looks about right to me. Nice, good arrangement. So view, and I'm going to fit spread on window. We need to have some text. Now here is one way to do it. We can click on the text tool, and we could just open a big window here, and I'm going to give this title, so I'm going to go Fashion on Fire in Manchester. Manchester. Okay, you can just about see that, but it's not very big, so I'm going to make it bigger. With the text tool selected, the control panel top here changes. We've got a little text size bit here, so I can make this bigger. Just click on until I think, yeah, it looks about okay, so I can actually see something. Yeah, that's good. It's a very boring font though. I'm going to go and choose a better one. So you might have different fonts on your computer because I've got a few custom ones installed, but most computers come with an excellent selection. So I'm going to choose something which is going to be interesting. I know I've got one here called Dubstep something or other. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. There you go, Dubstep Dungeons. If you actually Google Dubstep Dungeons, you'll probably find this font, but the best thing to do is Google Dubstep Dungeons font. So we can resize that to make it fit on properly. Fresh and Fire Manchester, that looks kind of cool, I kind of like it. Is that big enough? Yeah, that's going to be okay. I mean, it's lots of things to do with InDesign. When you're doing something just a bit creative, a bit free, you can just play with it until it looks about right. So I'm going to bring this up. So you've actually got the top part right above the top line there. So it's out of the neatness, breaking through, but we've still got the title there, it's quite big. So that's that. I now want to have a bit of text below, and I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to have a little rectangle placement, all right? And so that's now giving me a placeholder for something. Before it was in image, now I'm going to do it with text. So if I go to File, Place, and Text, we've got 2 bits of text that have already been created, and here's subtitle text. That's what we want. Let's click OK, and it's just automatically dumped itself in there. That's kind of nice, but again, it's a bit generic, so let's select that all, make it a little bit bigger, and let's give it something a bit more interesting. I quite like American typewriter, so I'm going to go and select that, and it's right about, if I can remember my alphabet, right about there. Now as you hover over, you'll see different options. Let's go for condensed because that's the standard one. There's obviously bold, regular, and light. Condensed is kind of cool. Actually, no, I changed my mind, regular. So that gives us a nice little font. I think it's a bit too high up, although the font size is about right for my eyes. So all you got to do is with the select tool, just click and drag it down. And what you'll see, again, it bits snap. So if I want the bottom to snap, to be in line with the bottom of the picture, which I actually do, I'll let go there. Alternatively, I could have dragged this down to the bottom, which does work, but then I've got to drag the top down until it looks about right. So there's different ways you can do it. It's really a case of saying what works for you, what works for your project. In this case, what works there, that looks about right. It's not cutting things off. Okay, so we've now got this subtitle in the right place. I'm quite happy with it, but now we need some text. Now, one thing you might notice that in the time of between the takes, I've just resized this image there. I decided that her feet were very important for the image, the text of the spread. So I've just resized down here the same way I did before by just taking this handle and just resizing it. You can go a bit too much and then always scale it back to just bring what you think it wants to be. So anyway, we need some text in here. So I'm going to put some in. It's a very easy thing to do. Grab a rectangle tool, which is defaulted there, and draw a little placement box. So my text is going to go there. Actually, I want it starting slightly higher up. I want it to start about there. That looks about right to me. So File, Place, and I've got some text which just goes there. So body text, and click OK. And you see that your cursor now changes to a cursor with text attached, which means you can drop it anywhere you like. I'm going to drop it in there, which is great. But that's a bit too small for a magazine, and also the font's not very good. So first thing, let's choose the font. I'm going to choose American Typewriter again, because I quite liked it. So there we are. And size 12, definitely too small. Size 14, I think size 16, that's the kind of size I want. But we've got a problem here. If you look, the text has disappeared off the bottom. Now, it's flowed into space. what we need is some way for the text to flow from this box to another box. So with the selection tool, I just bring it down here, and I can actually zoom in if I like using the zoom tool. Take the cursor and click on that little red box. It's now turned blue, and the cursor is once again, as we see with text. So if I go to View, Fit Spread on Window, then we can see now if I just click somewhere here, it will automatically fill a space. Now that's great, that could be one thing I want, but I actually want to have more control of what I'm doing. So I'm going to undo that, so Command Z or Control Z, depending if you're using Windows or Mac. And I'm going to put another placement box. Let's just throw it in there, doesn't matter if it's too precise. Back here, select the red little section, the cursor's back, and I drop it into our box. So now it's in the size that we have determined. I'm going to think, if we just try and take the center, that's going to be center there. Make it a little bit smaller, that's about right. So for now, I think that's going to be cool. We'll see what happens in a bit because there's still more edits to do. Now, big blocks of text are always a bit too much, so I'm going to try and break this up into small bits. So I think that this paragraph's going to have about there. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And oh, look at this, it's made a bit too small. So we've got text flowing off somewhere else. Now we could have a third box and it would flow from 1 to 2 to 3, but I'm going to make this bigger because I'm quite happy having just 2 text boxes in my magazine. Now, do I want to have a third paragraph? Yeah, I do. Let's throw him in there. And once again, take this and I'm going to resize him. Maybe this time make him wider. That's cool. Now, lots of things what you're doing with the work in InDesign is seeing what looks good at the time. It's better to have a bit of an exploratory view than to have a fixed design, even though in this case we are copying one which was done earlier. So that's kind of cool, but one thing that's missing are drop caps. Now drop caps are large first letters. They're really popular in magazines. You see them in old manuscripts too, so they're ageless. Now the way to do it is select the first letter. So with the text tool selected, just go over here. Oops, got the wrong letter there, and got the T. And at the top here, you'll see with the text tool selected, a whole load of different tools. The only one we want to know is this one, drop cap number of lines, which says how many lines the letter will go down. So with 0 or 1, the letter doesn't change because it's taking up 1 line. If I go down to 2, it takes up 2 lines, 3, 4, 5. That's a bit too much. I think that 4 was a good number. That looks kind of cool, although it does make me question if the font is right. But we will come back to it later on. Actually, I'm going to change the fonts now. Just by selecting everything, you can drag across so that both boxes have the font selected. Take this down, and I want to have Arial Regular because that's quite an easy font to read. Yeah, that'll do the job quite nicely actually. So we've now got the big drop cap. I'm going to have some small drop caps for each of these paragraphs because that's my magazine style. So once again, drop cap down 2, and take the J, and doing that for 2. Now there are different ways of doing this, but we'll come back to that later on. So let's line this up with the top there, and let's move on to the next thing. So we need to have some products that you can go and buy on the high street. So this is the inspiration of the catwalk, but what can you go and buy? Very easy to do. What we do is similar to what we did over here with these images. So File, Place, and we go to Images, For Sale, because Images for Sale, and we've got 6 items here. So we actually look at here, we've got some photoshopped items. You might be able to see that the background has been removed from them already. So select all of those and click Open. We see the familiar little icon there. So click and drag down. Whilst you've got your mouse still held down, press the up arrow, and again it's got 3 images. Press the right arrow, and we've now got 6. I can now just take this down to there. So it's snapping to the right, and it's snapping to the bottom of that picture. Let go. So now what we've got is a nice, neat grid of these images. They're all laid out in a really nice way. It's all in line with the top element there and the bottom element there. So I don't need to try and spend a long time calculating distances. It does it for me in a very simple way. And I'm going to make it even better by taking this, actually, to the edge. That's kind of cool. So that is the basic layout. Now, colours are really important in your magazine by also saving it. So I'm going to save it to my desktop because I can. And we're going to call this magazine save. I'm doing that because just want to remind you that if you are working for a long period of time, you should always save work whilst going through things. So colours are important. At the moment, this is a bit monochrome. It's not that exciting. So for you to open up the Finder window, you should be able to see, go to Lectures, Fashion, Week 4, and go to the slideshow. That some work's been done already for us here. So we've got a colour scheme was generated using Adobe Color CC. Now these slides are on Blackboard already. And what it does is you upload this image, which is that one which we see right there, which is very useful for us. And, oops, so there we go. So, and it extracts the colours which make a bright theme or a muted theme, deep, dark. We wanted bright for this. So that's the colour scheme we got. And it translates exactly as this, which you should be able to see in colour scheme. And here we are. So that's the colour scheme we have. Basically, these 4 colours represent the image. So as long as we are using those colours, we're going to get a very harmonious, really good design. So it constrains us, but in a very good way. And below we have different ways of expressing that. These are hex codes, so we'll see in a second how to enter them. And these are RGB, which means this much red, this much green, and this much blue. So I'm going to just move this down to the bottom there for a second, and we're going to get to work on creating a colour scheme. And these are known as swatches. So making that a bit smaller, click on the swatches tab. If it's not there, you can get to it through here. It's very easy to do. So here we are, swatches. Now, by default, you get the standard swatches. I'm going to go and just click on one, hold down Shift to the others, and delete them because I don't want to use them. Next thing, I bring up a new one and I double click it. Now here we have a bit where we can define our colour. So colour mode, different ways. There's a whole load of different ways you can describe a colour, but the one I'm going to use is RGB. So how much red, how much green, how much blue, which are the values we have down the bottom here. So the first one, I'm going to mix in 168 red. I'm going to give it 12 green, and I'm going to give it 85 red. And I'm going to give it a name, but with the colour values, make it nice and easy. So I could call this maroon, or colour 1. But for the sake of this project, it's very small. I'm okay with just these. So I'm going to create that. And I'm now going to go and create the other 4 in the same way, so I'll catch you in a second. Okay, so I've now gone and created all these little swatches, and we'll see in a second how to use them. So I'm just going to make this a bit bigger, so I can go View, Fit Spread on Window, but all that does is fit this window here. So all I've got to do is make the actual window bigger, just holding this section down here and bring it out. So that's looking good to me. So why is this so important? Let's have a look at this. Let's say we want to have all our text a different colour because black is not particularly good. Let's just select all of our text there, and let's go for a dark blue, that dark blue there, and double click, and you see our text changed to dark blue. But we want to do something a bit more fun than that. So our title, I'm going to select all that. Let's have that as dark pink. That's kind of cool. Not too bad. let's see what happens when we choose Manchester in a slightly brighter colour. That's actually, the whole thing looks nicer in brighter pink, so select that. What happens if we take this and, that's actually kind of cool because Manchester is popping out there a bit nicer and we've got a bit of contrast. So that's not too bad, we've got a good start. And if we took these big letters here and just started checking on these by just selecting the text and clicking on the colour, we're getting somewhere. But what I really want to do is I want to highlight a key phrase in the text. So let's say, look at the text here. Bold artists like Monsoon Rising and Jagged Architect are blending vibrant colours and space-age materials with sleek, sexy garments for tomorrow. Okay, that's kind of a good sentence. I kind of like the idea of having the actual how to do it part highlighted. So forget the designers, and I want the vibrant colours until tomorrow highlighted. Now, there's different ways you can do this. The one which I quite like is with the text tool. Just select the text you want to highlight, which I want to do that. Go over here with the underline, hold down the Alt key and click. Now what this does, it brings up a custom underline tool. So click on underline on. Now we know that our text is size 16, so we need to make this bigger than 16. Let's put it as, I don't know, 18. Now you might be able to see here that at the bottom things started changing. You can start to see that you've got a line going over the text. It's just below the text at the moment, it's not very good, so let's just take this, click down, it's going below, wrong way, so we just take this down here, and what you're doing is you're trying to make it to cover up the text like censorship. That is doing it pretty well, and the colour I want it to be, I'm going to make it nice and bright pink, because that's quite a good colour for this thing, area, and click OK, and problem is that the contrast between the dark blue and the pink isn't that great, so if I just select all of this and select the text, that's now given me a good contrast. So that's really good. But I want to use this again. I don't want to use it just once. So I've got to make a style based on this. So double click there, select a word with the style attached, and go to character styles. If you hold down Alt again and click, I'm going to call this pink underline. Click OK. What this means that I can then go, double click on say walk, click on pink underline, and the same bit has been applied. Just undo that, so Command Z. Let's find some more text we actually want to apply this to though. So the hidden secret is that everything's made more renewable. That's kind of cool. Tomorrow is bright, that's a cool phrase, let's select that. That's actually the whole thing. Just there, and just pink underline. And that's a cool bit as well. So I'm going to just click there. So I've now selected some text. I can do some more maybe here. Maybe I want to have maybe a black one or black background with white text, but like those little tape machines. So we'll do the same again. So Command, click. Sorry, that's wrong one. Alt click. So underline on, we want a black underline. That's cool. The weight is want to be at least 20. Let's make it as say 22. And if we just work on the offsets, that's kind of good there. So click OK. Obviously black background, black text, can't see anything. So we're going to go back to our swatches and we're going to choose white, or in this case paper, as the background. So that's kind of cool actually, it looks pretty good. So we've now created a bit of a sort of punky feel straight away. So that is how to use the basics of that. Now I'm wondering, how's my magazine looking so far, because I haven't finished yet. Although before I get that, yeah, that's good for now. So there's, to view this how it would be when it's printed without all these guidelines on, before we do that, view, fit, spread, and window. This bottom down there, if you hover, it says normal. Currently we're in normal view. If I left click, as you hold down, I can see different options, but the best one here is preview. So this is what it'll look like if I was to print it out right now, which is okay, but there's something missing. I want some borders around these boxes here, so they're actually not floating completely. That's very easy to do. So let's turn this back on to normal. If I just select, so click 1, hold down Shift, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we are. We can see different options. Now, at the top here, we've got fill and we've got stroke. So fill, if we just click on there, we see our swatches appear, same as just over here. And we can fill the actual box with colour. So if I clicked on pink, it will turn pink. If I click on that sort of yellow, it will turn yellow. But actually, I'm going to go for none. I quite like it being just how it is. Stroke, that is the outside edge of the box. So I'm going to go for dark blue. And I'm going to go for, say, 2 pixels worth. So let's click on that and hold down left and preview. That looks pretty good to me. A bit too regular though. I want to make it a bit more interesting. So what I'm going to do is go back onto normal mode and use the zoom tool to zoom in on this section. Okay, so with this bit, I want to make the corners rounded. Very easy to do. Click on with the selection tool, click in the box and click on the yellow box there, and you see these diamonds appear. If I just take this one diamond and I drag him, see the other ones are moving, and I'm going to take him by 4 millimeters. You see that the edges have become rounded. Click in again, take that to about 4 millimeters there. And once again, click 4 millimeters. So that's cool. Actually, I'm going to leave it as square on the left and round on the right, just because right now that's how I feel. But for magazine, I might not do that. But for this example, that's fine. Right, so now I've got to have some text that tells me about prices and things. If we look at the example we had earlier, we actually have the full where they come from. So these sandals are Miss Selfridge, and so the dress. So I'm going to copy that. Do that. I'm just going to get some text. Just make a box anywhere. So that's going to be kind of cool. And call it Miss Selfridge dash £30. Let's take this. American typewriter. I go for regular. That's kind of cool. The size actually looks about right for size. I'm quite happy with that. I want to have colour. I want to have that sort of yellow, and I want to have background. So I'm going to hold down Alt, click on the underline. So we've got a custom weight on. Have this as size 13. Oops, a bit too soon. And let's have type there, and have the colour as dark blue. Offset, yeah, a bit too much, that's kind of cool. So click OK, and we've got a little label there. So we can again select this, go to character styles, hold down Alt and click new. I'm going to call this sale label, click OK. So that's kind of good. I'm just going to make this work a bit better. Now I want to have this arranged a certain way, so I'm going to make this right aligned. So with the text tool selected just there, I can click on the right aligned button there. Take this and actually it's a bit, yeah, that's good. So take this and I can, let's do that. That's kind of just over the edge. So if I wanted to recreate this, I can do it again really easily by just throwing in another text box and have some text. And if I was to just go over that and click sales label, it's automatically turned into the right text. Another way you can do this, if I just delete that guy, I can select him, copy, and I can paste, and you can see again it's all snapping up. So I can just paste that. In this case, the price, I'm going to call it £35. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply labels to all of these, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, almost at the end here. So what I've done in the time, I've gone and added some little price tags here, and I decided that I actually quite liked the boxes here having sharp edges, so I'll put it back to how it was before. I've also done a few little tweaks, so let's have a look back at the whole thing. So I've added little text here, trend report, just inserted text with the text tool. I've also added the magazine name and website and some page numbers. Now you'll notice that I've actually got the wrong page number here, so I'm going to go ahead and edit this. So just in there, page 11. So that's quite an important thing. What I've decided also is that I want to have the text in here not just floating around as it is, which if you look at the preview, looks like that. I want to have this in a box, but actually I want it in a box with rounded corners, so the text boxes contrast with the main images. Actually, also think about it in this thing, I think that this can come down a bit. Yeah, that looks better. So, as I said, when you're working on this up, it is a creative process, a continuous process, so it is something you shouldn't slave over. Just go with the flow, see how you feel, and you'll spot things as you go along which you think, hey, I hadn't thought of doing it that way. So small little bits, and you'll see me tweaking here and there. So anyway, I want to have some boxes here. So let's have a look at this. Go back to the normal view, and this is where something very important comes in called layers. Now in Photoshop, layers are very important, and I've actually been very naughty and I've not been playing with layers and going along, so a bit of retrofit. So what it is, it's like a piece of paper stacked on top of each other. If you're familiar with Photoshop layers, this makes lots of sense. So I'm going to call the first layer text, and then I'm going to create a new layer, a little box down the bottom there, and I'm going to call this one graphics. And what it is you put all the text stuff on the text layer, and all the graphics things in the graphics layer. So what we can do here actually is we can see quite easily what the images are. First lift all of these, drag it up there into graphics. Let's try again. Just there. You'll see that they are now there. So when I now turn off the graphics, you see they disappear. There's a few more images there. So we've got these things here, like t-shirt, necklace, dress, and put them just there. If you want to just check, you can see, yeah, that's all of them. It really helps when you have the images named originally. So we see we can turn all the graphics off, leaving only text in the text layer. So that's kind of cool. So we're going to make a new layer, and we're going to call this backgrounds. The colour that you assign to it is very arbitrary, it doesn't actually really matter. So now with this selected, anything I do here is going to be on the backgrounds. And because at the bottom, anything I put in here is going to be at the very bottom. And the text will be at the very top, which brings that across there. So I'm going to have a box. Well, first off, I'm going to take the text and I'm going to play with this. I'm going to make it much smaller than it is at the moment, just so I know what I'm playing with. Then I can get my box tool out. So I could use a frame, but I'm going to use the rectangle tool. And just from this corner here, it's snapping right to there, and we see a snap. So with the stroke, I'm going to choose, what do I want? I want dark blue. That's kind of cool. And if we go to preview, you can see this dark blue around there. It's a bit too thin, so I'm going to make it a bit thicker. You can edit in preview, of course. It's very good for this kind of stuff. And yeah, let's these rounded corners. That's 5mm. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So now the text's in there, I can just reposition it so that it's about right. And of course, as I'm repositioning here, it changes around here. So I'm going to make this again smaller. It might have gone over the edge. That's fine because it's just what we're doing here. So different ways we can do this. I can actually just take this and copy and paste, and we can just place it in the right place. So select it, move it down. It's already the right height because it's a carbon copy. We could snap there, take it across, and we could snap there. Take this text, let's make it the right size, and we can see That fits pretty well with a bit of space at the bottom there, and that space can be filled by a name. So take a little text tool, little thing, and put my name because I'm going to be the author, and I'm going to use a character style. So let's have a look. That's the sale underline. I quite like that. It works pretty well. So it's always good to reuse these things. It'll save you a lot of time. So that's the right line. If we go to the text tool and let's justify, bring the text box in a bit too much. It does help if you zoom in, but I'm just doing this on the zoom out to make it easier. So that's my name, and I actually think my name's a bit too small, or maybe bigger. So select that, all the text, and let's go for size 15, 16. That's good. Click around, reposition it. So I think actually now move it down to about there. That fits about right. So I've now got these things. I want to have these as pink. Remember, just select, 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 and I can change the stroke to pink. So now I've got pink boxes and everything. So you could do more things, can keep going, but this is the basic page. Now, things to make you aware of, things like trend reports, or titles and layouts and grids. You can have them formatted so that they repeat on the pages, which means if you insert a new page, and if we go to the pages layout here, we can sort of click up here, that you would have them automatically viewable. Go to normal view, you would have the text boxes, the rectangle frame tools already set up there, or areas repeated. We're not doing that for here. This is very, very basic Outlook. It's not designed to be print quality, it's designed to teach the basic tools that you can see. Now, if you look here, I have not quite lined up properly, so I'm going to just edit this, bring him in, and you'll notice that there's the centre bit here which is taking notes, so when we actually fold the pages together, we're not going to be losing any detail. Everything goes across. We've got the page numbers, we've got the magazine title, we've got aesthetically pleasing, we've got items for sale, got where to buy them, we've got the cost, we've got the text, got highlighter bits, got fashion, we've got photoshopped images, got everything in here and more. And if we compare it to the original plan, that's where I said we're trying to end up as, and what we've got is something very similar, a bit different, especially go to preview, but that's because it's a different day. If I was to make it tomorrow, it looks slightly different again. So it's about finding what's right for the right time. So that is the tutorial on how to create a magazine spread in InDesign in a very quick, basic form. So I hope you've enjoyed watching it, and I hope that when you play with it yourself, you'll really enjoy delving into it. Remember, InDesign has so many tools, so many fantastic features of it, that there's no time to show you everything. I've really skipped over so much. So feel free to Google and go on YouTube, find more tools, really get to grips with this software, because it can be an absolute godsend to create fantastic visuals, be it magazines or posters or flyers or business cards or anything. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.